Together, we can make your blonde, blonde. Sheer Blonde Go Blonder Collection by John Frieda lightens and brightens hair 2 full shades to give you your best blonde every day.
Hair talks. Make your statement with Sheer Blonde Go Blonder Collection, only from John Frieda.
My hip-hop will rock the shop. My
Hey, welcome to Screaming Boy Podcast, episode number 16. And we are going live on YouTube right now. And if you are listening to us, then you have found us because I'll be honest with you, I did not do any social media shout outs to tell anybody that we were going live because I completely forgot. So
it happens.
It happens. But we are here and we are excited to be here because we have with us, of course, as always, Adam and Jesse. And Jesse just got back. Jesse's pulling double duty tonight, man. You are learning a thing or two from Mark Radulich. You are doing – this is your second podcast tonight, is it not?
It is, dude. I tell you, we talked about many of our podcast ventures there during our discussion there at Asylum Comics, the Kapow podcast, Dueling Ogres.
You won, though, didn't you?
Well, they kind of gave me a hard time. Well, they teased me saying, "Well, you do a lot of podcasts," and I said, "Yeah, I do." So we get done with the podcast, and we're all kind of standing around. I said, "Well, guys, I gotta go. I gotta go to do another podcast." So
that's awesome.
Here I am. I made it, man. I made it to Screaming Boy a little bit after 10 p.m. Saturday night. I'm glad to be here.
Good. We're glad you're here. We do want to give a shout out to the Kapow Pop Culture Podcast, and we want to give a shout out to our friends at the Dueling Ogres podcast. And there are 2 great shows. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. They're just great guys, man. They are super nice guys.
I had a lot of fun tonight. Had a lot of fun. I hope to do it again soon.
Absolutely. I'd love to hang out with them too. So hint.
Them boys need to be learning about the online stuff where you're going to be driving a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I'll tell you what, next time you're up here, maybe we could schedule something. Maybe we can get, that'd be kind of, you've been up here in Marijanetta before. Marijanetta.
Hey, I'm really amazed at how many podcasts actually come out of Marijanetta.
Can you guys explain to me where Marijanetta is?
Nope.
Marijanetta, right past Parkersburg, before you get to Belfry.
It's the armpit of West Virginia and Ohio, right?
There you go. Now you got it.
Wow.
Right along the river.
You wouldn't insult somebody's home, would you?
Home, yeah. Trust me. We've heard it all. The West Virginia is right across the border, so we get our shots in all the time. You know that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm sure it comes from the other side too. So.
Oh yeah.
I always say West Virginia. At least it ain't Kentucky. I'm kidding, Kentucky. I'm kidding.
All them sour emails.
You can also say that about Huntington, West Virginia, because there's enough people from Logan there that will say it's Huntington. At least it's not Logan.
Yeah, shut up.
I might have took it. No, I didn't take a shot at Logan tonight. I think I did that off air. So
thanks.
Just to let you know.
I'm from Logan County, West Virginia.
Nothing but love for you. Nothing but love.
I'm sure.
Let's get past this awkwardness.
Too late. Embrace it.
Ouch.
Embrace it.
And that's the show for this evening. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Just 2 minutes of awkwardness.
We're done. Good night. Oh, no. It's no. We love Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky, and North Carolina, South Carolina. That's where we're all from and living at the moment. So
Kakalaki.
We're all over the place. Actually, I was in the grocery store tonight, and I passed by I was just picking up a few things, and I passed by this end cap, and it had peanuts, and mixed nuts and peanut brittle, and the brand name was Kakalaki.
Was it really?
Yes, and it was Kakalaki barbecue peanuts. So it was barbecue flavor, beer and barbecue flavor peanuts. And the other one was just called Spice Nuts. And it said funny name, spicy taste or something like that. And I was like, oh, I get Spice Nuts.
No.
But yeah. So Kakalaki, I want to try.
They have hats. You can get hats down here in South Carolina that say Kakalaki on them.
Wow.
That's
That's
cool.
when I first ever heard the word Kakalaki, it was because somebody we had known from up here had moved to South Carolina. And, of course, that's how they knew it was South Kakalaki.
South Kakalaki, yeah. I've never heard that until I moved down here.
Yeah.
And
I heard it in a rap song once.
What?
Was it Macho Man?
No, it wasn't Macho Man or any Savage rap music. It was, which is a real album, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Real album.
Yes, it is.
Can you get it on iTunes? Can you download it on iTunes?
Oh gosh, I hope. I pay for Apple Music. That means I can get it.
You move on. I will find out.
All right. So, but I will. Kakalaki. It was something about take your shirt off and spin it like a helicopter.
North Carolina.
North Kakalaki, rise up, take your shirt off, spin it like a helicopter. It was a classy song.
2000, early 2000s, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even remember who did it. That's sad.
Something Boy, if I remember right. I'm serious.
It's not Soldier Boy, tell him.
Soldier Boy, tell him. I can't remember.
I'm not sure what you just.
I think I found it.
What is it?
What is
Randy Savage.
Oh, not Randy Savage.
Be a man, Hogan.
You can find the whole album on YouTube of Randy Savage. Oh, YouTube, what can't you do?
You can also find it on iTunes as well.
One of the stupidest things I just did was try to find the Screaming Boy Podcast Network on YouTube and to try to share the link when I could have just went to the Google Hangouts that I'm in right now, find the link, and share.
All right, so we are,
awesome, man.
Of course, affiliated with the Radulation Broadcasting Network that you can find on Blog Talk Radio and iTunes. And what is the word that we like to throw around at the Radulation Broadcasting Network when we try to sync the shows up? Synergy. So we are starting the synergization.
We're starting not to sound like we can pronounce words.
Careful now.
We're starting the synergy off a little, I guess, a day early. And this next week coming up, it is Wolverine week.
It is.
Coming up on the Radulation Broadcasting Network, where they'll be talking about, on source material, we'll be talking about Old Man Logan. We've also talked about just Wolverine and the origins of Wolverine, the character of Wolverine, how we all, came to love the character and all that, correct?
That's right.
And then Metal Hammer of Doom is going to be doing the Wolverine Blues.
Entombed. Entombed is the name of the band, and Wolverine Blues is the name of the album.
Which is just blows my mind. I love that.
1993 as well. It got released in 93. So put yourself back in 93 in the state of what Wolverine was in back then.
Oh Lord!
Height. I'm gonna say that.
I could almost agree. I could almost agree he was becoming a very popular character at that point.
That was also the time. It started about then. I think I was reading Wizard magazine. I think around then, maybe a few years after. I don't know. Maybe about 93. They really started pushing for Glenn Danzig to star as Wolverine in an X-Men movie.
You did see the post I made on source material.
Yes.
Old man Danzig.
Old man Danzig.
Gosh. That is hilarious.
So Glenn Danzig as Wolverine, that's a heck of a bit of a
interesting.
So Jesse, you still with us? All right. It says he's still here, but I think we may have lost audio on Jesse, so we'll keep going. But really, honestly, I'm kind of at a loss without Jesse right now.
Thanks, man.
I'm kidding. So,
No, because you guys were having a conversation, and he just left in the middle of the conversation. So yeah, you would be lost without him. Because
very true.
There goes your conversation.
That sucked. Let me tell you what I did. I signed out of YouTube thinking, "Oh, that won't happen to anything with Google at all." Now I'm back in here. I'm in here twice. I've got me, and then I've got now I'm gone.
Now you're gone.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
At least I did. I smartened up and did the same picture for both of my accounts.
There you
I'm
go.
brilliant like that. All right. So anyway, what was I saying?
Glenn Danzig.
Old man Danzig. Yes, I got him. He's on stage with the claws. Boy,
Paul Danzig.
Paul. Don't sign out. Don't sign out of YouTube again.
Don't do
Jeez.
that. So, I guess we're going to start off with. I did have the chance on opening night. Well, technically tonight is supposed to be opening night, but you know how that goes in the movie watching world. I did go last night to a 10:00 showing of Logan, and the newest, the newest and last Wolverine X-Men movie. So Logan, it got its name. I guess we can go ahead and tell you that it got its name. They're really playing off of the Old Man Logan storyline in the comic books. So Old Man Logan, of course, is a story arc in an alternate universe, really, an alternate reality, where Logan, Wolverine, is living on he's a farmer now, and he has a wife and 2 kids, and he pays rent to the Hulk family, the Banner family. The U.S. has fallen into shambles. It is now under control of all these different super villains, and including now Bruce Banner, who's a super villain, because he nukes were dropped and everything, and he took on too much radiation and went insane. The Banner family is a bunch of inbred hillbillies because he has married and mated with his cousin Jennifer Walters, and created more Hulk babies. And they're all super tall, strong, green, the whole nine. It's really odd. And then you've got the Kingpin's territory, Doctor Doom's territory, all this, So it's a really, I will say that it's a very dark comic, and you'll hear more about that on source material. But he's never really called Wolverine because he's not Wolverine anymore. He's a pacifist, and he goes by Logan. Mm-hmm. And so he's just, he's a retired superhero that, is just trying to live his life and be a farmer. So in the movie Logan, he is no longer, it's the year 2029. He is, you find out that he is a, what's it called? A chauffeur. He owns his own limo, and it's kind of like an Uber driver. So he gets appointments on his smartphone, and he goes and picks people up and drives them in a limo. It's an SUV limo, and that's how he makes his living. And he also crosses the border. He goes from the U.S. Mutants are being hunted and hated, and the X-Men are dead, and all this other this, that, and the other. They're not dead, but they're the X-Men are no more. And he's actually taking care of Charles Xavier with the help of another mutant named Caliban, which is Stephen Merchant, and he plays Caliban. He just does an excellent job as Caliban. Now, the only thing that the Caliban throughout the comic books has had a different. He's had several different forms. I mean, he was Caliban, the huge, almost as big as the Hulk mutant, where he had super strength and everything. And then he was Caliban, who referred to himself as the third person. But he's always had one major power, and that's he's able to track other mutants.
That's right.
And so in this one, he's the very intelligent Caliban, who is also an albino and can't stand the sun, allergic to sun. And he can track other mutants. And he's just, he's taking care of Charles Xavier, who is at this point, over 90 years old. He's 90, 91 years old. And we are introduced to a new character, which is X-23, who is, as we know in the comic books, the clone or the daughter of Wolverine. She is got 2 claws in each hand and 1 in each foot, which they actually kind of explain in the movie. Whereas, Charles Xavier looks at Logan and says, "Did you notice her foot claws?" And he's like, Wolverine's like, "I really don't care." He said, "But, look at her. This is more proof that she's exactly like you, because in A Pride of Lions, the female lions have, claws on their back feet as well to help protect themselves."
Oh,
and
okay.
So it was really kind of cool the way they explained it. So it's in a future. It's in an almost dystopian future. I will say this. It's a very bleak movie. It's so well done. It is very well done. It's an excellent movie. I loved every minute of it. It's going to tug your heartstrings. I'm not going to give anything away because I have 2 gentlemen here that want to see it and who have not seen it yet. And it's just released today, so I know there are people that will listen to this that maybe not, don't have a chance to see it. So I won't give anything away. But there is the fact that it is not for children.
I gotta ask: Were there kids in the audience?
I did not see any. No, I
good.
saw maybe one that was probably about 11, 12 years old, but he was there with his, much older sibling or dad, or more like a sibling. But
they learned their lesson with Deadpool.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We kind of figured, with the character of Deadpool, there was only one way that you could go with that movie, and that's rated R.
Yeah, really.
To me, they tried a little too hard to make it rated R, so it was kind of over the top in some of the subject matter and some of the language and stuff like that. But Logan, the language in Logan is rough. I mean, it rivals Deadpool with some of the F-bombs and stuff that are in it. It was pretty. It was up there, and most of it's delivered by Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart.
That's so
which
funny.
you don't. Go ahead, Adam.
I was gonna say, to me, it's so weird hearing Jean-Luc Picard drop an F-bomb.
Yeah, well, to me, I never really watched Star Trek. And even for people that are Trekkies and did watch Star Trek, I mean, he's taken more of a Professor X persona now.
Make it so, mother.
Oh wow! But it's so far in the future that they're old men now. I guess they just don't really care. And Logan is a hard drinker, and it's kind of a hopeless future for him. They're trying to protect what mutants are still around. That haven't been rounded up and imprisoned or shot or whatever, and they're trying to protect them. And I tell you that because you could pretty much read that on Wikipedia or wherever. But they're trying to lay low. Well, Logan isn't. He's just living life. He doesn't care. He's just waiting to die. Eventually he might die. He doesn't know.
Maybe. But he's got a noticeable limp. He's got noticeable scars. He's graying in the hair and the beard. And he is old man Logan in this. I mean, his healing factor is slowing down. He's coughing. He's a little sick. He doesn't know what's going on. And at one point, it gets to a callback to, I think, maybe Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine. He has an adamantium bullet that he just carries around. That you think maybe one day he's just going to get sick of it all and put himself
and end it. Yeah. And so that it's that kind of, it has that kind of tone. That's who he is at this point. He's kind of a sad man. But I will say this: you find him asleep in his limo, and his limo is getting jacked. The wheels off of it. Somebody's trying to steal the wheels off his limo. He gets out. He goes, "Guys, those are chrome plated lug nuts. You want to strip them off, and nobody wants to ride." And then they just shoot him in the chest with a shotgun. So he gets up and he's like, "Guys, I told you to knock it off." And they're like, "Oh, whoa, where did you come from?" And then they shoot him. They try to shoot him again, and he freaks out. And he for a second there, you see the old Logan. He dismembers a couple, he kills a couple, and the rest of them run off. And then he spends his time over top of the sink trying to heal. So something's up with him. And then he goes on this, one last adventure as Hugh Jackman has this one last adventure as Wolverine, because Hugh Jackman has stated in many media outlets that this is his last appearance as Wolverine, unless Marvel can get the rights to the character and he will appear in a Marvel movie.
We just talked about this tonight, where they were mentioning how if he could come back as an Avenger, that would be something that he would actually consider. Now, of course, we don't know if that's what he said or not, but if they could get the rights to him and bring him into a Marvel movie and he's cool with that,
huge. It'd be huge.
Dude, it'd be crazy.
It could be literally him and Iron Man sitting there eating dinner, and people would go watch it.
Yeah, really.
So I mean, it would be huge. It's not for kids. You can't take kids because they're, like I said, beheadings, blood, stabbing in the head, gunshots, lopty necks. A little bit of lunch meat neck. And the young lady that plays Laura Kinney in it, X-23, she does a phenomenal job. And at one point, they you get to see them fight together, and you can see them this really is his daughter. He's trying to fight that the entire time, as you can see from the previews. He's like, I don't want anything to do with her. He keeps having something to do with her. So it is a phenomenal movie that I enjoyed thoroughly, but you cannot take kids. Don't take your kids because they're going to be exposed to a lot of adult content. This is another one of those things where, like Deadpool, it was a no-brainer. You're not going to take your kids to see Deadpool because it's going to be a lot of adult content in it. This one was a little bit shocking to people because they're like, but Hugh Jackman said this is the Wolverine movie that he's always wanted to make.
Good. Because
Wolverine he gets to play Wolverine with no boundaries at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He gets to be who he thinks Logan is. And over, the 10 times that he's played Wolverine, he's appeared as Wolverine 10 times. I think they're maybe counting his People magazine cameo in Deadpool in that. I'm not sure.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they might be.
Well, how many? Okay, can we name the 10? Try to name the 10 right now.
X-Men, X2, X-Men Last Stand, which doesn't really exist. X-Men Origins, Wolverine, the Wolverine. That's 5. Days of Future Past, he had a cameo. No, not Days of Future. I apologize.
He was a little bit of a big deal in that
one. First Class, he had a cameo.
First Class cameo, okay.
And then he had Days of Future Past. He was a big one.
Yep.
That's 7 right there.
Are we counting Old Man Logan, or are we counting
Logan? Yeah, okay. That's 8.
There's 8. And then, do we have any other mutant movies other than Deadpool?
So we'll just throw Deadpool in there. That's 9. What am I missing? Adam, help me out.
10.
I'm trying to think. You got to him before I did, before I could think about him. Like I'm trying to think of the other like obscure movies that he may have just like you know how he'll do like a cameo in. And I want to say
these are all Marvel based movies,
right? That's what I'm saying though. But like I want to say there was a movie where he like walks down the hallway and somebody's like, "Hey, Logan." You know what I mean? Like, what was that? Am I thinking of another movie? But I feel like there was a group of people, and like he kind of walks down the hallway, and they just kind of wave hi to him, and he just grumbles at them.
All right. Well, I'm looking here at films.
His X-Men First Class, his face on the cover of the Sexiest Man Alive People issue. His Alkali Lake Rampage and X-Men Apocalypse. X-Men Apocalypse. He was in X-Men Apocalypse. Yep.
And what part did he play in that?
Weapon X.
Wolverine.
That's the one I was thinking of. That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. So he was a huge part in that, really. Patrick Stewart apparently lost 21 pounds to play Charles Xavier as elderly. Yeah, man. I mean, Charles Xavier isn't old, but he's in his upper 60s to my knowledge.
He's frail.
It's a lot of weight. I mean, because
no, I'm sorry, he's in his upper 70s. He's 76. I said upper 60s, but he's in his 70s. And he lost 21 pounds at the age of 76 to play a part in a movie.
When you start losing weight like that at that age, that's kind of sometimes can be that's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
You need that.
So you need that on you.
You need some meat on the bones.
So there is no mid-credit scene or post-credit scene in this.
Boo.
I mean, there's not much. There's nowhere else to go with it.
Boo.
There's nowhere else. This is his last run, you know.
Well, I mean, there is a place to go with it, but it's not with him,
right? With her, but you just gotta see where.
Now, let me ask you a quick question. This is kind of from my own knowledge. So, X-23. That's you know what I'm talking about.
What
you
is
know what
it?
I'm talking about when I say X-23, the girl super weapon, right?
Yeah.
Is that the girl from Logan? Is that her?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I wanted. I wasn't sure
exactly who it is. Because
that's what I wanted to make sure of.
She is now taking the mantle of Wolverine. Because she was a teenager when she was first introduced in the comic books, and she's grown and she became a member of X-Force. I think she was a member of the X-Men for a while. And now that we were going to get into this, since Wolverine in the comic books has died, they killed Wolverine, the current Wolverine as we know him. Since he since he died, she took up the mantle of Wolverine, and she wears the yellow and black suit, and she has the claws, and she has the wingtips on the mask, or whatever you want to call them, that shaped his hair forever. And she
no matter how many times he washed it.
Yeah, it just stayed like that. But in this movie, he doesn't have that hair, and it just he just brushes it back, and he has a full beard for most of the movie, and it's really a different take on Wolverine. But in the comic book,
awesome.
he looks awesome. But in Old Man Logan, the if I'm not mistaken, the comic book, does he have a full beard in that?
I think he does, because I haven't read the comic book in years, but yeah,
I'm leaning towards no, but I could tell you for sure.
Yeah,
I thought maybe I'm getting confused.
It's all right, man. We'll find out. Go ahead, keep talking.
But this storyline is my favorite storyline of all of them. Like I love the Old Man Logan storyline, like the whole kind of a post-apocalyptic future where Hulk has his kids, and they really just run around terrorizing everybody.
Yeah,
it's such a good storyline. I love it.
I'm still looking. I gotta find the freaking gotta find the comic.
Now, what's the storyline where you meet Wolverine's son? He has the two claws that come out. Dakin. I know that he was a primary player in the Dark Avengers, Dark storyline, and me and Ronnie actually did a show. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm having. There's some network difficulties going on right now, and
okay, just making sure.
It's ticking me off.
I was worried that I was lost to the ether.
No, sir.
Me and Ronnie actually did a show on source material for a what if story. Now, Adam, are you familiar with the what ifs from Marvel?
With what is it now?
They're called what if, like what if this or what if that. There was actually a series that ran for.
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay, well, pretty much what it is like they would do like one shots of alternate history for Marvel. So like, cool. What if I'm trying to think, like, what if the Avengers lost the Evolutionary War? What if Spider-Man Well, one of the big ones that we were just about to do here, I'm thinking about doing is like, what if the Hulk killed Wolverine? Well, because I've actually done what if the Wolverine killed the Hulk. Well, I figure we need to follow it up with that. But anyway, the point is, me and Ronnie did a show called, it was on what if Wolverine father. So my wife just messaged me and she says, what if? That's all I'm hearing is what if. She's above me. She keeps hearing it. Anyway, so it was called What If Wolverine Father. Now, in that story, it's about Wolverine, and I'm getting a phone call from Ronnie right now, a screaming boy.
Yep, I see him. He dropped off. Yeah.
Do we add him to this one, or do we go to the other one? Because we're live and direct right now. Hold on. Can we send him a link?
He started the link. Yeah. Hang on.
All right, then I guess we're going to end this episode. Go over there and finish our conversation.
We might be able to not. We might be able to get away to get it from him, or to get it to him. I'm gonna shoot this to him.
Okay.
And
can I share? Can I screen share stuff? I think I can.
Try that one. I sent him a thing, or a thing for 2 hour Google Hangout.
Okay.
I hope anyway, but
hold on anyway. Now. I'm going. Okay, give me a second, because if I can find it, of course, I wouldn't be able to find it. Where is? Okay, well, I'm going to show you. I will show you real quick as soon as I can find it online. I just need to go to
a screen share.
Yeah, I'm gonna screen share What If Wolverine Father real quick and show you what it was about. So go to this and nope, don't email the image. Go ahead and save it. That'd probably be best. Is he making his way back? Yay.
What the crap happened?
On a side note, you know that AMC, the theaters, they have some of them have restaurants inside them during the movies.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
All right, what in the world were we talking about before everything went wonky?
I don't know. What did you hear last?
I don't know.
All right, here, I'll show you. Hold on.
We were usually, we usually have this problem with like Blog Talk Radio, but my Lord, what the heck?
And this is the first time this has ever happened.
Yeah, I know, right?
This screenshot looks really crappy, but there you go.
Well, that one.
Yeah, I've seen that. I have seen that before. Seen it.
It's a little bit better. But anyway, me and Ronnie talked about this what if story where he became a dad, and
yeah,
he it was to a kid by he called him Dakin, but I think how do we pronounce that? Dakin or Dakin, Ronnie?
Dakin, because Dakin is a really crappy band.
Dakin.
Very similar though to X-23, except he's a boy.
Yeah, he was really his son as well. He was Dark Wolverine as well.
Oh, that's right. He was his actual son.
He was his actual son,
not some clone.
Right, and he had 3 claws on his hand, just like Wolverine, but one came out of the bottom of his wrist.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
I was going to say I found a better picture, but go ahead and continue, guys.
Well, I forgot where we were going with all that.
Well, he was asking about Dakin and Dakin. Wolverine's son, and I was like, yeah, hey, we did a what if on Wolverine Father, which was pretty neat.
It was a good read. It was one of those darker stories and sad stories, but it was still a good read, But so as far as Wolverine, if you're ready for a more gritty, okay, let me put it this way. I read that Hugh Jackman came up with the idea of Logan one night after he was hungover. But he said he was hungover, and he came up with the idea for Logan. When he was done doing the press for Chappie, the film Chappie, he asked him what the director of that film asked him what was next for Wolverine, and he didn't have an idea. But he fell asleep, woke up at 4 a.m, grabbed a recorder, and summed up that the last Wolverine, or Wolverine 3, would be a mix of Unforgiven, The Wrestler, and Shane, the 1953 Western Shane. And those would be the basis of the story or the idea or the theme behind the next and last Wolverine film.
Yeah,
and the movie.
I was going to say, Mark made some references to Westerns when we talked about the book. So very Western, a big Western motif in this. And it was, Wolverine is pretty much, he's a modern day samurai cowboy, Mm-hmm. And so there, of course, it's going to feel like a Western. But it's there. The movie Shane plays an important role in this as well, and great flick, Shane. Just a phenomenal movie, and so it's a very sad movie. The Shane. It was 1953, I think. Yeah, 53, and it plays a very, very important role in this movie. And I was so glad they introduced, they included it. But you've got to you don't have to really pay attention. But it's one of those when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, that's really cool kind of things. Mm-hmm. And you go ahead and throw that back up for me there, Jesse. This one right here, I grabbed a few screenshots. I grabbed a few pictures off of the internets and, as the interwebs. As you can see here, we got comparison of, is that a shot out of the movie with Hugh Jackman looking like
that is a huge, that is from the movie from Logan. That's what he looks like in Logan.
Yeah.
Notice the scarring, the bruises and all that. That's not healing.
Yeah.
It should.
The white hair with the regular old haircut rather than the crazy hair.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
He's not Wolverine. I mean, he is, and they actually make reference to his real name, James Howlett.
James Howlett. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. They're on the lam. They're on the run. Not really on the run or anything, but they stop at this family's house, or they help them, and this family invites them back for dinner. And he's like, no, we got to keep moving. And from the car, you hear Professor X go, that would be lovely. Thank you. He's like, all right, I guess we're having dinner. So he introduces X-23 as his daughter, and he introduces Professor X as his dad, Chuck. And they said, well, we're very, they're saying grace over dinner. We said we're very thankful for our new friends, the Howlett family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it shows him text messaging this certain person before he meets X-23, and her phone says James. That's what he's listed as, and her phone is James.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, and he they make reference to James Howlett and all this as his real name instead of Logan. So it's really cool. It's a really cool movie. There's a lot of things you have to catch. Some things are kind of left unanswered, but you don't care because they're better left unanswered. Mm-hmm. From the past. So. For me, it was there on the screenshot. It just shows another, as he's looking on, another group of villains. The Reavers actually.
Oh, the Reavers.
Their debut. Yeah, they're some of they are the main antagonists in this movie.
One of my first Wolverine stories that I remember reading, actually in the comics, involved the Reavers, and that was when, they took their purpose. They knew they couldn't kill Wolverine. But they tortured him. And one of the most iconic covers that I can remember reading that I can remember seeing was a X, okay? It was just this large X, just a silhouetted X, kind of shot out from or drawn from the side, and Wolverine is up on the X like it's a cross. And it's just, if I remember right, it's just a silhouette. You can barely see him. But the Reavers, what they did was they pretty much put him up there, nailed him up there, and then just continually bled him. Instead of killing him or trying to kill him or doing, they would just come over and like, okay, we're going to stab you again. And they just continued that over and over. The Reavers were some bad dudes.
Yeah. And they, if you're not familiar with the Reavers, they were a group of cybernetically enhanced villains that, they were in the 80s and 90s, the early 80s. It's kind of like, of course, you're going to get some silliness. One of them had the lower half of a tank, stuff like that. But in this one,
I do remember that.
Yeah. But this one, they may have lost a limb and they're ex-military or they're mercenaries or whatever, and they may have lost a limb, or they figure that they can enhance their strength or whatever. And they have cybernetic parts, legs, arms, eyes, things like that. So they've, where mutants and superheroes are pretty much, non-existent at this point. Mutants, because in the X-Men universe, there's no other superheroes really. They are hunting them, and they enhance themselves cybernetically. So the Reavers are a part of this, and they were really, really well done. They were really cool. So they are the main antagonists, in this film, and it was there's that cover of that book.
Yeah, they just continued to bleed him like over and over. And shortly after this, I think he gets the reason he escapes the Reavers is Jubilee. Mm-hmm. This is one of those instances very early on in the history of X-Men where Jubilee actually becomes a trusted friend.
Useful.
Useful. Before she gets lopty-necked in Old Man Logan.
Lopty-neck. Lunch meat neck.
Lunch meat neck.
Oh Lord, what is wrong with us? But it's if you wonder what we're talking about, lunch meat neck. There's a panel out of.
I got a picture right here. Trust me, I saved it.
Show us that picture real quick, and I will explain to the listeners who may not be watching this. There's a panel in Old Man Logan where Logan has gone on a murdering spree, thinking he's killing. He thinks he is killing the supervillains that have come together to fight the X-Men, like Dr. Octopus, Claw, all these people that don't normally fight the X-Men. Mr. Sinister was there. He's, of course, an X-Men villain. So he thinks he is fighting them, but he's actually fighting the other X-Men. And as you can see there, Havoc has been decapitated, yet part of his neck remains.
Just slicing a little salami.
Yeah, it looks like a lunch meat neck.
Who's that artist that always does weird things? Rob
Liefeld?
Liefeld?
Yes.
When you say weird things, what do you mean?
Rob Liefeld?
Yeah, that. Yeah, no, I mean like the proportions are off, way off in more ways than one.
That's Rob Liefeld.
That's Rob.
Yeah,
like I know him.
And I
that's old Rob. That's
Look at old Rob.
Yeah, I love
Bobby.
Through his,
he gets a hard time. I was gonna say he gets a hard time from a lot of
diamond feet. Diamond feet. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
If they're there, they're shaped like diamonds.
Yeah, like he has a Facebook page, and if you go through it and you look at all his pictures, you can get great examples of his own work. And
here you go.
It up.
I will gladly share what we.
If you can find where Captain America has the table for a chest, that'll be amazing.
Just wait, because this is exactly what you're thinking of, Ronnie. Except we're going to take it just a little bit further.
All right, let's do this.
And that is going to be that's going to be. We're going to start out with the full costume, and then we're going to become shirtless.
That's exactly it. If you're listening and not watching this, you need to go to YouTube and to see it. But Captain America has a chest that sticks out that you could set like your dinner plate on. And then they
a
would
full
slowly
family.
remove his clothing. Oh my Lord, this is just disturbing.
It's like put the shield down. All right, take your shirt off.
All right.
Oh, jeez, Louise, that's a chest, my friend.
Mercy.
Thank you, Rob Liefeld.
Lord.
Man. And if you Google him, the first thing that comes up is Rob Liefeld, Captain America.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think this is his most infamous picture that he's ever drawn. And the thing is, I believe I have that issue because this is when he hopped back into Marvel or Superheroes Reborn or whatever it was.
And then he was immediately escorted out.
Said, okay, you've got 12 issues. You've got 3, and now it's time to leave. But yeah, good old
Sir, get out.
poor Rob Liefeld.
No one wants you here,
Dude, I'm telling you what. If you have the opportunity to watch the Image Revolution on I was going to say
Netflix.
It's on. No, actually, I think it's on Amazon. I don't know if it's on Netflix yet. But if you have, he is entertaining as all get out. He is probably one of the most entertaining people, artists, creators that I've ever. He will do impressions of some of the other guys that'll leave you on the floor. Hilarious, dude. But Rob Liefeld,
really?
He's funny, but I mean, his artwork gets so much flack, and when you see something like this, when you see old chest,
he's really not that bad. I guess most of it.
No, he's terrible.
I'd say 80% of his stuff is not that bad, but he's also the guy. I think he's the guy behind that crazy. It's like Spider Woman or something like that, where she's like crawling and she's looking up.
No, that's a different guy. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but
it's the one like if you actually were to do that as a human, you would be breaking your own neck.
Yeah. Well, no, it was they didn't like it because it was an over sexualized position for Spider Woman. Her costume hugged a little too much on her derriere, and it looked like she wasn't wearing a costume at all. So I can understand that. I mean, I get it. I mean, it was a little too.
That was controversial.
A little too revealing. It was pretty controversial, but it was. I don't know, but it's just one of those things where no matter what, comic books are going to be like that. I hate to say it, but they're going to be. Well,
dude, I mean, you just pick up a comic book from the 90s. Any comic book from the late 90s.
From the 90s.
Yeah, it's ridiculous at how much there were certain parts of the female anatomy that were over endowed. That
their boobs.
It was a clear marker of who was reading comics at that point in time. And
yeah,
that was 15, 14-year-old boys.
Bunch of
and a lot of 20-year-olds having too much. There's a bunch of 20-year-olds having too much fun drawing them.
I mean,
sex sells though. Sex sells.
Wow. So Jesse has just put up a picture of Captain America drawn by Rob Liefeld and Captain America in real life as Chris Evans as Captain America if he were drawn by Rob Liefeld.
Oh man, the inspiration! Unbelievable.
Tiny little head, big old chest and titties.
That's brilliant.
Perfect.
Hilarious,
Lord. So, well, the whole reason behind old Logan, they got the idea from Old Man Logan, but in the main comic books, in the main Marvel universe, Logan has passed away. And the Death of Wolverine was a comic series. It was a mini series that came out, and I think it was 2015 when the Death of Wolverine came around, and it was a rather sad book, to be honest with you, because you knew that it was not going to end well for our hero Wolvie. Because in the Death of Wolverine, at this point, Wolverine had lost his healing factor completely. So September 3rd, 2014, and it went on in the fourth issue was October 15th, 2014. So it wasn't, it was a couple of months there. So Wolverine every time he popped his claws and retracted them, he ran the risk of infection, disease, anything like that, because he was gutting men and then drawing these things back into his arm. They were not healing, so he had open wounds on his hands. Anybody could come around and just absolutely waste him because he was, he had no protection, no healing factor. And finally, when he ran down the guy who was trying to, end it all for Wolverine, he had all these agents coming after him, trying to kill him. They finally ended Wolverine by pouring molten adamantium on him, which hardened as he crawled to, as you can see on the picture here, he crawled to the edge of this building, looked into the sunset, kind of smiled, and there it hardened, and there he sits.
So we got an adamantium Wolverine statue out there looking at the sun.
Before these panels, it went through the history of Wolverine. You see him in his blue and yellow costume. You see him as Patch. You see him kissing Jean Grey. You see him in World War II. You see him teaching at the Jean Grey School for Gifted Youngsters. You see him with his wife, Mariko.
I want to say Mariko. Yeah, I want to say Mariko as well.
As samurai in Japan. He ran. It goes pretty much the whole gambit of who he was. My question to you guys, in this encased in molten adamantium, do you think he's still alive in there and just can't get out?
Oh man, that would suck so bad.
Ooh,
I have nightmares of stuff like that, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, you're stuck and you can't do anything, or just claustrophobia.
Yeah, I mean, I'm recently reading. I restarted this Wolverine series called Wolverine Weapon X, where someone restarted the Weapon X program and created these soldiers that were just like him, and they had all the enhanced senses, the healing factor, but it was not natural healing factors, but it was like nanites or something like that. They had the enhanced senses, they had the reflexes, enhanced strength, everything that he has. So as you may or may not know, Wolverine does have some sort of superhuman strength, almost superhuman strength, because he has this adamantium laced in his bones and he has to carry it around, which makes him super heavy. So his muscles have grown to accustomed to this extra weight. So as he gets, as he goes along, he just gets stronger. So it goes, he picked up Ursa Major, which was a Russian superhero who turned into a bear. He lifted Ursa Major over his head and threw him with ease. He's lifted 10 guys, in a big, bar fight above his head. They were dogpiling him and he just picked him up and threw him, so he has some sort of enhanced strength. Mm-hmm. And then their claws were laser. Like they were like almost like lightsaber blades. And so he finds out who they are. And he goes on to say, there's not many things in this world that scare me except for the ocean. He said, I'm not a big fan of what may lie beneath, the mystery of the depth and everything. And the fact that that may be the only thing that could kill me would be drowning. So he could possibly die by drowning. So did he drown in a molten adamantium, or did it just encase him, or he can't move?
Well, see, my thought behind that is so let's say he drowns. The whole point of drowning is you lose oxygen, you can't breathe. Okay,
right.
So even if he did get dumped in this adamantium, it takes away his oxygen, he can't breathe. So I think he's probably dead.
Okay, now we have been. Yeah, if you're going to go with just straight up drowning is going to be your, that's going to be your, what am I saying here? Your weakness.
Right. Okay? Your kryptonite.
I, again, direct you to Civil War, where the man's body was burnt off of his skeleton.
Right.
Came back. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you cannot breathe without lungs. Okay? He had no lungs. There were no lungs there.
He had no lungs.
He regenerated from that.
The man was lungless.
I'm telling you,
Right.
there's no way to kill this guy. However, again, another plug for what we were talking about with Wolverine Father. There was a way to kill Wolverine, or at least wound him to where he would not regenerate. Yes. And that was with the, what's the name? I want to say mass immune, but that's not the right. Was
the
that
Metamucil blade?
Massamune or whatever.
Massamune blade or whatever. So you could slice.
It's
the Massamune blade.
Massamune.
It's
the
sword
Muramasa blade. I think
is that what Muramasa?
Yeah, I think that's how you say it. I could be wrong,
Oh.
but it's definitely that is Murramasa.
Yeah, you could.
Muramace.
Stop.
You could pronounce it 9,000 ways. Either way, you could use that, and you could, because he uses that to kill his own son in that book.
Right.
So
that's they find that is a way to kill him.
I don't think drowning is going to kill this guy. I really do not. That's just my opinion. I don't care if he's scared of drowning or not. I'm scared of being encased in. I'm scared of being roasted to nothing but my skeleton as well. Okay, but if I can come back from that, I can come back from being. As soon as you bring me up, his healing factor is going to come in. So, Adam, you're trying to say if there's no oxygen, maybe that's what ties to, as if oxygen can assist his healing factor.
Well, see, you brought up a good point in Civil War. He had no lungs.
There's nothing there.
I know
he's lungless.
I can see the panel like right now, like where he's just bones with like the claws coming out. Then like you see all the tendons and stuff start regenerating. Like there's that one with the eyeball, and you know the panel I'm talking about where it's just and I see the one with like the four things where he burns alive, and then there he is again. Well,
I think if I remember correctly, I mean it took a little bit for him to come back. I would hope that it would to come back from that. However, that should have never happened. He should have never been able to come back from that. That right there is what was left of Wolverine after Nitro exploded. There's nothing there. And you're going but if he's so then I guess he is, if we use that theory, he's alive in that adamantium. He is not. It was just horrible. I mean, he's got to be. If they do rescue him from that, imagine the state of mind this guy's going to be in. We already know he's reverted back to a feral state a few times before. So he's going to be insane.
So there's a how-to guide on killing Wolverine.
Please,
2011.
Of course, there is.
Basically, it's just. One guy, I guess he was having he was just having a conversation with his friends, kind of like we're having now, and he just said, okay, let's try to see how we can kill him. So basically, the first one is head removal. So you'd have to kill his head.
That's
right,
tough,
but you're not going to do that
because it's completely. Well, I don't know. Here's the thing. It's not like his examples. Okay, I was going to say his neck. It's not like his neck is all fused adamantium. There's tendons and stuff in there. It's just a matter of getting to them. That's probably the problem.
But the thing about it is like it is fused adamantium.
Right.
Well, he can turn his head. I mean, he can turn his head.
Barely. Have you seen the traps on this guy?
Well, you can cut muscle.
You can, right.
Go ahead, Adam.
Well, like in this guy's case, he said there's really no way to remove his head except for some kind of Infinity Gauntlet or Ultimate Nullifier or something like that.
Okay.
He says, that might do it.
I can get down with that.
And then there's drowning or asphyxiation, and I guess they had touched upon it in the X-Men, the Ultimate X-Men comic run. And basically says if Wolverine was drowned for a long period of time, his brain wouldn't be able to survive without oxygen, which was what I had mentioned. But he said it would be more likely that it would more than likely have to be for quite some time as his brain continuously tries to heal itself.
Yep.
So he says another alternative would be exposing him to the vacuum of outer space where there's absolutely no oxygen. So anyway, the next one is incineration. It would be a very potent tool, but as we saw, he says we saw how in Days of Future Past, Wolverine was completely obliterated by a Sentinel hand blast, leaving only his skeleton. But on the other hand, Civil War, which is exactly what you just said, he said maybe if you wanted to do that job, you would have to drop him like a vat of acid so that it would eat away
at him.
Yeah, everything faster than his body could.
Yeah.
And then the next one is the Muramasa blade.
Yeah,
it can cut through adamantium. And
if it can cut through adamantium, I didn't know it could cut through adamantium. I thought it could have cut him and he wouldn't be able to heal.
Yep. It's the same weapon that Wolverine used to end Victor Creed's life because the weapon negates a healing factor.
Okay.
So that might do it. Because
I'm sticking with the blade. That's my way of killing the guy. So it's a possibility he's in there alive.
Right. So short answer to my question is, Jesse, you think yes, he's still alive in case of the adamantium?
I think he's still alive as well.
Okay, so you think Marvel may?
I'm gonna change my answer because
I'm gonna change my answer
of the two things: the fact that he had no lungs. He
has no lungs.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's a comic book, man. It's a comic book. You have to get rid of reality there for like.
No, it has to be all real.
That could never happen.
You want to kill Wolverine. The only thing really that you can do is get him out of your universe, and that way maybe you wouldn't have to worry about him. So you take the statue and you drop it in a black hole, and there you go. And the black hole crushes him to death. He's not going to be able to return. He's stuck in the gravity well.
Well, the thing is,
we have gone way too far into this, gentlemen.
Well, you asked the question.
Once you're inside the black hole, you have the event.
Okay, we went from drowning to a black hole.
You're stuck. I mean, you're stuck in between.
And Adam is gone.
Universes.
So Adam's in the black hole himself.
So where are you going with this, Ronnie? Then what are you trying to ask us this question? What's next?
Have we really seen the end of Wolverine? Have we, no. Has Marvel killed him off? Now in the current comic books we have Old Man Logan that has been transported from his reality to the current Marvel universe, and he goes from searching for his wife and kids and everything to join the Avengers again, and so we've got that going on. We got that going for us. So there's that. But I mean, are we going to see? Have we seen the end of the Wolverine as we know him?
Well, my feeling is that they'll bring him back. I don't know how they're going to get him out of the statue, other than completely liquefying it again. That's really the only thing that I can think of. How about you, Adam?
I'm sorry. Well, I was actually reading another theory.
Oh my God. I was actually doing another podcast.
I forgot I was on this podcast.
No, it actually involves time travel. So you would love this one, Jesse.
Oh, nice.
Okay, we don't have time for that. So
time for no time travel.
But
back in time, you would.
So, what do you think, Adam? Do you think they're going to bring him back?
Who, Wolverine? Like, seriously, I have no clue what you guys were just talking about.
Yes, Wolverine. Do you think the Marvel Comics will bring back our classic Wolverine at some point?
Only if, I don't know. Like they've done how many movies? We did at least 8 movies with him as a character in it. So
no, not movies. We're talking comic book.
Oh, probably, yeah. Comic book. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, comic
He had
books.
this whole
because
theory
they
going on
do-
about the movies, but with comic
they
books,
do.
like, yes.
They do everything. Yeah, they absolutely. You'll probably see a classic Wolverine come back with
I
the
wanna
yellow
show you.
costume and stuff.
I'm going to show you guys something. I'm privy to just doing a podcast at a comic book store where I learned about this tonight. This is 13 hours ago on Bleeding Cool. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Boy, I don't know. Can you guys see that?
No.
Okay.
For about a split second, I could.
All right, hold on here. Let me go back to my screen again. I need to go to that tab. That right there. Can you guys see that?
No.
Dang it. Well, let me go ahead and bring this down here and pull this over here.
It's a good pod right here.
I know, man. It's sad because I'm trying to share it, then I maximize it, then it doesn't maximize. Then I'm going to go over here to this right here. That's not what I wanted. I want to go to this right here. Why is it showing that? That's not what I want to show.
Well,
All right.
That's it for the night.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Here. There.
So,
How's that?
Make Mine Marvel where we relaunch titles, not with number one, but with legacy numbers. What?
13 hours ago.
What does this mean?
Now, the thing is that from what Jordan said, now granted, he may not have had the opportunity to read the whole article, but you know how Rebirth has occurred in the DC part of things, where they're bringing back some legacy characters.
Yes.
Apparently, Marvel's taken a shine to that idea, and the fact that, well, fans like that idea as well. So be prepared.
We love that idea.
We may be seeing. Here comes Wolverine back because he's a legacy character. Bruce Banner, Incredible Hulk, coming back.
Non-Hydra Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So,
Well, I mean, they eventually non-Hydra Captain America will make a remake. Will come back. You know, there's only so long they can keep him as a Hydra sleeper agent. To my knowledge, he still is. I got ticked and stopped reading.
I thought he still. I thought he still. I quit reading it a long time ago when they killed him off the first time.
wow. So they're coming back and using the old numbers. You see that where like Thor is supposed to be 700 in the autumn.
Oh wow! Really?
Yeah. So they'll be bringing back the old numbers. I think DC was doing this at one point, weren't they? Or did they decide to?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right. So anyway, there you go.
Yeah,
so I could see Wolverine coming back, but
yeah,
that would be where that's where I would put him if it were me, because everybody's I can't tell you how many articles I read on if he's gonna put on the yellow costume, is he gonna do this? Where's the yellow costume? That yellow costume was. It just doesn't work.
Tread lightly.
It just doesn't. I know.
Tread lightly. I'm a yellow costume fan.
I'm a yellow costume fan, but do you honestly think that it would work in 2017?
In the time of where we look at things, as nostalgic and what's the word I'm looking for? Retro. You don't think it would work?
He's got a point.
To me, if you look at it that way, the only, I'd say not the only way, but one way I think that it could work is say, he's I don't know, for some reason he's just running around naked and he needs to find something to wear, and the only thing he has available is just some costume that he runs across, and there it is like that yellow costume with I think they were blue boots.
Well, he's already done that though. He did that back in the 90s.
Well, yeah, I know that.
He did that. No. He did exact what you're asking about.
I know, but that was back.
Okay, then when did he do it?
I'm talking
We're being very petty and arguing right now.
I know, I know, but this is very important stuff, Ronnie.
But in a Todd McFarlane run of Spider-Man, he actually Spider-Man was called up to Canada, or Peter Parker was sent up to Canada to take pictures of Wendigo attacks, and for the Daily Bugle. So he goes up, and naturally Spider-Man is on the prowl trying to find out what's going on because his Wendigo is kidnapping little kids and killing them. And he wants to find out what's happening. So who else does he run into? The old knucklehead himself. He runs into Wolverine, and who's doing the same thing. So Wolverine knows it's not Wendigo, but he gets into a fight with Wendigo, which completely shreds his 90s costume. I think it was like brown and black or something like that. I can't remember the exact colors, but it was like golden brown. Shreds it.
Yeah.
So he goes back and he puts on the yellow and blue, and Spider-Man makes a comment about it. He's like, easy. This is the only thing I had to wear. And coming to find out, in that comic book storyline, it was one of the hunters that was actually doing it, and they were. It was kind of a child molestation, a serial killer storyline. It was a little dark, but
a lot dark.
Yeah, so it was really dark for a Spider-Man comic. So it was really weird. But Indigo was proven. Yeah, there we go. It was that costume that got shredded.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Wendigo was proven innocent. So it's one of those things where, like, in the time of like the hipster era that we live in with retro, I think it could work.
It could. I'm just saying, like, I mean, I don't know. You would have to do it right, because I mean, look at the conversation you and I are having. It can get real heated really fast.
I know, right?
You know what I mean? So you would just have to do it correctly, and I think that, given the right person, then I think they could do it. But
well, let's move on real quick. So, as much as we know, in Wolverine, Logan, James Howlett, as we know him, not Old Man Logan thing, is dead, is no more. So that happened, and that has happened. So that was a huge hit. 2014. It's now 2017. It was almost 3 years ago that I can't believe it was almost 3 years ago that Wolverine died.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a big like, oh my gosh moment, just like when Captain America died in the comic books. Everybody's like, what? You can't do that. Wolverine is like, what? You really can't do that. So it kind of like him staying dead has opened up a door to comic, a comic book, icon staying dead. So, whereas in the past, Jean Grey's come back from the dead like 16 times, and the only person that's ever really stayed dead in the Marvel universe is poor Uncle Ben. And so we're kind of looking at it, going, well, what's happened? What's going to happen from now on? So Marvel has shown us. So in the year 2000, Marvel and DC have shown us in the year 2016. We have a list of, thank you to, it was, I think it was comicbookrealm.com has given a list. It's called Rest in Pieces, the superheroes we lost in 2016. So we're going to take a look at those real quick. We've got 15 of them. So number 15 in January of 2016, Elixir. Are you all familiar with Elixir from the X-Men?
No, I am not. I've never heard of this dude.
Me either.
So
Is it a dude or a girl?
It's a dude.
Okay.
So I've heard of Elixir. Elixir was one of those newer guys back when. Do y'all remember the storyline where a bunch of the New Mutants, or I think it was Skin and Jubilee and a few others, were crucified on the lawn of the Xavier Institute for Gifted Children?
I can't say I do.
Well, that happened. So Elixir was one of the healers that they got, and he healed everyone except for he didn't get to Skin in time.
Oh.
And at the time, Skin and Jubilee were an item, and he died, and Jubilee kind of went off the deep end. And I think since then, Skin came back.
Was she a vampire at that time?
No, she was not a vampire at that time.
Okay,
She's a vampire right now, though.
Okay.
So Elixir actually was in January 20th, on January 20th, 2016, in Uncanny X-Men #2, the Dark Riders, a team of bounty hunters, trying to take out any mutant healers that can, that could help them survive the Mpox, mutant pox. They actually killed Josh Foley, aka Elixir. And he stayed dead. Number 14 was Superman.
Oh,
May 25th, 2016. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the Superman that we know. This is the New 52 Superman. And it was actually in a storyline called The Final Days of Superman. And right before the new Rebirth series, they actually killed off that Superman, who was kind of a D-bag, actually.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't the fan favorite Superman that everybody knows and loves. I mean, he was, he had his fans, but he wasn't the Superman that everybody knew. He wasn't Lois Lane's husband. He was like macking on Wonder Woman, stuff like that. So they actually got rid of him, and it was all a big confusing, plot twist, and nobody. I didn't care. Number 13, in May 25th, 2016, Pandora.
Oh, this is the Rebirth issue, isn't it? Yes, I remember this.
Pandora was actually killed off by Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, they say most likely. It's not confirmed. Not confirmed because
not confirmed.
It
was a flash of blue light.
And what happened here is they drew that parallel to how Rorschach.
Yeah, he vaporized Rorschach.
Yep. So, I remember reading this issue, and I didn't understand that connection until I had to have, I think it was Cole Meritet, explain that to me. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. So the next one, number 12, was War Machine on June 1st, 2016. He was actually the first casualty. James Rhodes was the first casualty of Civil War II.
Civil War II, yep.
Yeah. So I
think there's going to be a few on this list from that storyline in there.
Yes, there is. So they took they took this new Inhuman who had this precognition power. He could tell you a future that may or may not happen. So they kind of got word from him that Thanos was going to do something. They went up to space to stop Thanos. Thanos punched Rhodes in the stomach and made his insides go out his back.
Jeez.
And completely destroyed him. Yeah, there is a picture of it online. I actually read this, and I could not believe they killed Rhodey, who was actually dating Carol Danvers at the time, who was the leader that took him into.
What did he ever do to him?
Right, I know.
I know what Rhodey did to him, but I mean,
so James Rhodes, best friend of Tony Stark, and wearer of the War Machine armor, is now no more in the Marvel universe.
I'm just going to tell you right now, you do not want to get within arm's reach of Thanos.
Well, no, Thanos he's a Titan.
You don't want to.
Right.
And he would be the one guy that I was like, okay, he can be on that planet over there. And I'm going to stay right here on this planet. Man, I wouldn't mess with that guy at all.
When he switches planets, you just go around and
like, well, I'm moving. Looks like I'm moving to a different planet.
Don't you get near me.
Thanos is here.
Shoot. Okay, number 11, Vin Vision. On July 13th, 2016. Vin Vision is actually he is the son of Vision, the Avenger of Vision, who has created himself a synthesized family. Virginia, his wife, Vin, his son, and I can't remember his daughter's name.
Viv. I think
Viv.
it's V-I-V.
Viv, okay. And it actually says Avenger Victor Mancha, who is a runaway at one time, inadvertently caused fatal damage to Vision's synthezoid son.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, it's getting late, and it's so hard to say these words. So he caused damage to Vision's son, and it was fatal. He died, and which was really odd coming from Victor Mancha, because that is not who he wanted to be. If you ever read Runaways or most of like Avengers Academy and things like that.
Okay.
So next on the list, number 10 is the Hulk.
No.
July 13th, 2016. Another casualty of the Civil War II storyline. They actually get another vision from Ulysses, and the Inhuman that the Hulk has gone on a rampage and killed a bunch of people. So they preemptively strike against Bruce Banner, who has not had a Hulk out moment in months and months and months, but who has also asked Clint Barton, also known as Hawkeye, that if Hawkeye ever sees him about to Hulk out, he gave him a special arrowhead to kill him with. So as they're sitting there, he can see Bruce Banner getting agitated, and we don't know if he was going to Hulk out or not, but Barton shot him through the eye with it.
Ouch.
Yeah, straight into the old brain pan, and dead is our classic Bruce Banner.
Wow. All right, now let's think about the names that have been on this list so far. Two of the heavy hitters, although albeit Superman was not the Superman we all know and love in reality. But, I mean, we got Superman, we got Hulk, we got War Machine. Some pretty big names.
Big names. I mean, those are the biggest names on the list right now.
Yeah.
So number 9, Superwoman, who was a New 52 version of Lois Lane. She had what kind of electricity powers, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reminded me much of the red. For some reason, I'm thinking Red Blue Superman from back in the 90s.
Yeah. It was some kind of weird electric.
No, it's whether, as to whether that's exactly what it was, but that's certainly what it reminds me of.
But she was actually killed off right before Rebirth in the same way that the New 52 Superman was.
She lasted one issue. Superwoman number 1 came out, and she was killed like 2 panels later, and that was the end of the comic. Yep. And then, actually, I think Lana Lang took on the mantle of Superwoman after that. So there is a Lois Lane still kicking around, and that was with the classic Superman, who was sporting a beard with his son Jonathan and his wife Lois off in a cabin somewhere, which is Rebirth made my head hurt. Number 8, Prowler. Prowler has been a name that has been around the Spider-Man comic books for a long time. And he's wore the purple and green outfit, and he, had the claws on his hand, and he was just basically an enhanced cat burglar. Mm-hmm. And he started going straight. His name, Hobie Brown. And Hobie's a great name. But Hobie Brown, he rejected a life of crime. He was actually working for Peter Parker. He knew Peter Parker's secret as Spider-Man, and he actually posed as Spider-Man for him to make sure that no one found out that Dr. Parker, now he's Dr. Parker and is the head of Parker Enterprises and a billionaire, which is really weird to say from Peter Parker. Yeah, no kidding.
But he posed as Spider-Man to make sure that no one knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. And there was a whole clone saga going on with the Jackal, and he actually was fried, and he was fried by Electro's girlfriend. I can't remember her name. Francine, I think. Yeah, it's right here. It's Francine, and she accidentally, or not accidentally, but she kills him despite Jackal telling her not to. But fear not, Hobie Brown has been successfully cloned.
All right, good.
So he's kind of back.
I think we're going to see a lot of kind of backs because of that freaking clone conspiracy or whatever it is.
This one killed me. Victor Mancha. He was. I was first introduced to him in the Runaways. He was a great character. He's actually the Vision's brother. Oh, the Vision and Victor Mancha both were created by Ultron. And Victor was created by Ultron to be be this great superhero, join the Avengers, maybe lead them, and then all of a sudden flip the script, turn on them, and kill them. But he rejected his programming because he was more human than he was machine at that point. So he said, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like my quote-unquote father. And he became superhero. Angry that her son has died at his hands, Virginia Vision puts her fist through his chest and pulls his heart right out his back and kills Victor Mancha.
Crazy.
So he is not coming back from that. Number 6 on the list in October 2016, October 5th, Multiple Man.
Jamie Madrox?
Yeah, in the Death of X storyline, the X-Men go to, I think it's Genosha, and they reveal that the Terrigen Mist is actually poisoned the mutants, and it makes them sick and they die. And this whole facility is run by just a few mutants and Jamie Madrox. And Madrox, of course, is Multiple Man, so he could have been like 400 of him and like 16 other people. But everybody there is now dead, and they catch Jamie, the original one, on the throes of death, and they figure out what happened, and he dies. So every one of his every one of his duplicates died, including the original. So anytime in the past you see a Multiple Man die, it's been one of his duplicates.
Yeah.
And he's tucked away safely. But not anymore. Multiple Man is now, due to the Death of X storyline, he's gone. He died an agonizing death of Mpox. So
you gotta get vaccinated, folks.
Number 5, Apollo. Apollo is someone I'm not really that.
Me either, dude. Is this one of the mythical gods or something from like Thor era stuff, or what are we talking here?
It is not even Thor. It's
are we getting into DC now?
Oh, this is Midnighter and Apollo.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one of the controversial couples because he and Midnighter were a couple.
That's right, they are.
Yeah, Midnighter was one of the first homosexual characters that DC came out with. And but he is, I think it's DC, yeah. And
no, wait a second. Hold on. I'm reading down through here. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What did you see?
I'm just seeing here. I'm going to read this straight off of here. It says the sheer protection of this partnership only made Apollo's death and subsequent descent into hell all the harder to take. In the climactic scenes of issue number 1, Midnighter is sealed in a lab with his villainous creator, Henry Bendix, by his own teleportation system, and is forced to watch as Apollo gets taken down by a demonic Mossier, unable to do anything to save him. Apollo then awakes in hell to be told by a shadowy figure that it's time to put out that light. So now the reason why I popped was because of the name Henry Bendix. Does that does that name sound familiar?
It does. It does. Take it away though.
That is Weatherman 1, if I remember correctly, from Stormwatch.
From Stormwatch.
Yeah. I'm going to double check and make sure. But anyway.
It sounds like it, yeah.
Bendix sounds very familiar. So anyway, but Apollo, huh? That's pretty crazy.
So, and number 4, I don't think he should be on this list, number 4. On October 12th, 2016, Mr. Immortal. From the Great Lakes Avengers. Mr. Immortal's only power is you can kill him, but he comes back. That's his only power. You could literally take Mr. Immortal out of a fight by breaking his legs. And he heals like a normal person. You shoot him, and he'll come back a couple hours later. You break his legs, and he's tied up for a couple of weeks. A couple of months. So Mr. Immortal is dead.
Now, wait a second. Didn't we talk about this with Josh?
Yeah, and he has to claw his way out of his grave.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so that's why I don't think he should be on here, because he died, but he's back now. Because he's Mr. Immortal. Number 3, November.
That's such a cheating. I mean, dude, come on. He can't die.
All right, number 3, November 23rd, 2016, was Cyclops.
Oh,
Scott
boy.
Summers himself.
That's a big name.
That's a big name. Everybody, it led up to this big Inhumans and X-Men fight, the Death of X. Because the Terrigen Mist is how the Inhumans are created. So the Terrigen Mist is going around the world. There's 2 of them, and it's finding anybody with a touch of inhuman DNA, and it brings out their powers. But it also is killing off mutants, apparently. So they're trying to figure it out. So they've got inhuman people that are loaning themselves to Inhumans, like Hank McCoy, which is known as Beast, Johnny Storm, who is the Human Torch. They are part of the Inhumans, but they're still part of X-Men or whatever. There's no more Fantastic Four right now, but Cyclops, being the hothead he is now, he's not like he used to be. He's not the cool, calculated leader. He is kind of like, no, I'm going to kill them all kind of guy. After being infused with the Phoenix Force, he's kind of a rogue agent. He's like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to stop this because I want to preserve mutant kind. So he goes up against Black Bolt in the comic books, and Black Bolt screams and rips him apart, and he's dead.
Yeah,
all right,
man.
So no, but we find out that actually was not Scott Summers. That was a psychic projection created by Emma Frost to let everybody think that he was killed by Black Bolt, so he would no longer just be Scott Summers, rogue X-Men or whatever. He would be an idea, and he would not have died for nothing, because he actually died back in Genosha when they found Jamie Madrox of the Mpox.
Oh, tricked you.
So he passed away of that disease.
They do that.
And so she decides that she doesn't want him to, just be another number chalked up on the board to the Mpox. He has to be an idea. He has to be a martyr. So therefore she let everybody believe that he was killed by Black Bolt. Number 2, December 21st of 2016, The Living Tribunal.
Ooh, that is a huge, man.
Yeah, that is big, because he is a Celestial, and not many people can kill a Celestial, except for another Celestial. So the Living Tribunal decides that it's perfectly okay for Galactus to become the Lightbringer, and it's time for a new balance, for a new cosmos. The Lord's order and chaos murder him for it. And it turns out they're only in favor of law and order when it suits their own agenda. So he is, Galactus. Galactus got kind of a makeover from the comic, The Ultimates, and he turned him into he was once the Devourer of Worlds, and he's all into life and stuff now. Is exactly how the article puts it. And then when the Living Tribunal decides that it's okay for him to do that, they decide that the Living Tribunal had no business doing that, and they murdered him. Number 1 on this list, December 21st of 2016, He-Man.
Oh, dude!
I didn't even realize
this is the big spoiler from He-Man
I am
versus
not
Thundercats.
a DC fan, but He-Man versus Thundercats has been an excellent comic book. I've loved every minute of it. Mum-Ra and Skeletor become Mum-Tor, the ever-living.
Mum-Tor, the ever.
Oh. But right now it shows Mum-Ra. The only way he can really defeat the Thundercats is to find a greater source of power, which is the Sword of Power from Grayskull. And he takes it from Prince Adam and jams it through Prince Adam's chest. And Prince Adam dies. Only then do they find Lion-O. And Lion-O takes him to Thundera. That's where they're from. Takes him to Third Earth. I think that's where they live now. And takes him to Mum-Ra's chamber and puts him in and brings him back to life.
Ooh.
Since He-Man, he's He-Man at this point, sends He-Man to this rage, and he and Lion-O actually have this epic battle.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I want to get my hands on this series. Cliff is still talking about it right now from the Kapow podcast.
It's an excellent series. I've read it. It's up to the latest issue. I'm awaiting the newest issue. And I have really, really enjoyed it. It's got some funny parts in it. They use some vernacular and language that you would not expect of He-Man or the Thundercats. Or Mum-Ra or Skeletor, like "Don't piss me off" or something, things like that. I'm like, Mum-Ra would say that.
What is going on here?
Yeah, just little things, but it's funny. It kind of fits. So it's a lot of fun. That's what they're having with it. And I'm normally not a big DC fan, but this has really caught my attention, and I've enjoyed it.
Cool. Well, that was a fun list.
It wasn't bad. I mean, we've lost some people. Some I don't think like Mr. Immortal should be on there. The death of He-Man was kind of a shocker for me, even though they're going to bring him back somehow.
Yeah.
But that was a big one. That was a big one because they left you on a cliffhanger with that picture of Prince Adam having the sword of power shoved through his chest. So, and it's bloody. That comic book is bloody. I mean, like it's kind of out there where they're like, cutting things in people's faces, and Lino has a slash down his face, and he's blind in his left eye for a little bit, and until he can heal up. And it's not really for kids, to be honest with you.
Well, very nice, very nice. A lot of shockers on the list. Had a lot of fun listening to it because I wasn't. There were a few on there I was privy to, such as Superman. I knew he had died.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing that picture of He-Man getting the sword of power, and like, oh man! So
yeah, it's I recommend Death of X. I recommend He-Man versus Thundercats. I don't recommend Rebirth, but Jesse might recommend Rebirth. There are some good storylines in there. Definitely recommend Old Man Logan. Please read it. Please tune in to the Radlich and Broadcast Network where we talk about it on source material. Speaking of source material, Jesse, tell us what you got going on.
Over there, we've talked about just about darn near everything we've done. I tell you what, go back to, this Friday today was our introduction. Monday is going to be Old Man Logan. But if you go back to this past Monday, you'll be able to catch me and Ronnie talking about one of the greatest mashups. One of the greatest mashups of comic book history. And like I said on that podcast, 1 + 1 = 2. It should be the greatest character of all time in comic book history. And that is Amalgam's Dark Claw, where Wolverine and Batman came together in one glorious universe called Amalgam Comics. So me and Ronnie took our time to listen. We talked about that first issue, the first and only issue of Dark Claw #1, and I might have rapped at the end of it.
You might have. That's what you can call it.
I might have rapped, sir. I might have rapped. There was a letter. Oh yeah, buddy. But anyway, go give that a listen there. We're on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. We're on blogtalkradio.com. We're also on iTunes. So if I haven't said that already, but hey, go also give the Radlich and Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. And don't forget, Source Material also has a Facebook page. If you've got something that you'd like to hear us talk about, hey, you better talk to Mark first because he's the guy that schedules everything. But if you want to suggest something, do not hesitate to send something our way. I guarantee you we will do our best to try and discuss any book that's out there. I'm up to talking about anything. So I want to thank you boys for having me on here, and I had a lot of fun. And that's it. Am I still? Did Ronnie drop?
Adam, no, I'm good. I'm here. I'm here to say something.
I'm done.
Jesse, you're awesome. Adam, tell us what's going on.
Well, I'm not doing any other podcasts except for this one. I'm not as good as Jesse, but you can find me at AdamRunyon1 on Twitter, and that's it. That's all I do. I'm easy to find.
All right, so you can find us on Twitter. Any social media material, any social media outlet, Twitter, Screaming Boy PR, Instagram, Screaming Boy Podcast, Facebook, just look up Screaming Boy Podcast. We have a Snapchat, but I don't understand it because I'm old and I don't want to mess with it. I'm pretty sure it's Screaming Boy Podcast. But we have all of those. Please add us, like us, do all that stuff. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and the Radlich Broadcasting Network. Please go on. Give us 5 stars. Say hello. You can email us at info@screamingboy.com. Check out our website, www.screamingboy.com. It's undergoing some growing pains right now, so we'll have some fresh stuff on there pretty soon. Right here on YouTube, Screaming Boy Podcast. Guys, we love you. We hope you have a good night. Tune in next time. We're out.
will rock the shop. My hip hop